Hey guys, welcome to the Occupied Life. Today I have a different format for my interview. I wanted to give you something that was kind of short and sweet and gets to the point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to interview my guest. I'm going to introduce her, and then we're going to have her answer one question, and then I'm going to ask a follow-up question. And when she gives a response to that, it's going to be a wrap. Now, if you like my guest and you like what she's talking about, don't worry, we're going to do a longer form interview, so you need to check that out as well. Okay. So here's my guest. This is Dianna Havard, and she's a great friend. I'm sorry, she's married. So her name is Dianna Penn. Sorry about that. And she's as I said, she's a great friend. We worked together many years ago. We were also both missionaries on the same team, but at different times. She sort of led my wife and myself to Bulgaria, and then she ended up in Alabama, where she's now working for the state of Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So with this format, here's my question for you. Over the years, I know you've worked with a lot of students who have autism and who have communication and behavior challenges, and it seems to me that there is a relationship between the two of those things a lot of times. So I would like for you to share with my audience what is the relationship? How do you see that?
Well, I think kind of like what we talked about earlier, just that correlation between those behavioral issues that a lot of these kids have, and how oftentimes that is really a manifestation of their inability to communicate effectively. It really makes me think about both of us living on the field in Bulgaria, and when we were there, I know that you and I have shared in the past our frustration with being unable to adequately communicate what we needed or what we didn't want in a certain situation. And we're adults, and we can kind of internalize that and kind of move on past that. And we probably have some very well-developed problem-solving skills compared to a lot of these children. So that kind of makes me think about at least on some level, what they might be feeling. When you first mentioned this to me, one thing that really came to mind is if you're put in a situation where you can't communicate as though you want to, or for some reason the environment has some constraints on that, then you're going to communicate in a different manner. And I remember as a child, if I acted up in church, my mom would reach over and she would pinch me to get my attention and let me know that I needed to straighten up. And oftentimes we'll see some of these behaviors in our children with autism spectrum disorders. They're trying to get our attention. They're trying to let us know that they want something, but they don't have those communication skills. So these behaviors really are their means of communication. We just have to find ways to make it more appropriate. Does that kind of?
Yeah, that's good. Could you, if I know that every child is different, and this may be an impossible question to ask, but if you were advising parents or teachers or even other therapists who are looking at some of these issues, how would you recommend they approach some of the challenges? Maybe some strategies or some ideas that you would recommend.
So that's a great question. The main role of my job is to assess children for augmentative communication, and that might be a communication device, but sometimes that's something very low tech like a picture symbol system or a communication board. And in that process of the evaluation, the first thing we always do is we ask, how are they currently communicating? Sometimes that's through gestures, sometimes that's through simply facial expressions. They're pulling items that they want, they're pushing items away that they don't want. Maybe they have some signs, maybe they have some modified signs, some personal gestures that mean something to them and the family understands what it means, but no one else does. So the first thing that we always do is we take down a list of how the child is communicating, and we're going to start from there, and we're going to start to build on that. So that would be the first thing I would always recommend that a parent or an educator do, is look at how the child is communicating. The next thing would be that behavior that they have, look and see if there's always an outcome that comes from that behavior. If I'm always hitting someone or I'm always biting someone because they've gotten in my personal space and messed with a toy of mine, then I know that we're communicating, I don't want you to mess with my stuff. And so we're going to start to look at those things that they do communicate, those means of communication that are more appropriate, less aggressive. We're going to see if we can build on that to help communicate where that behavior is.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you. All right. And that's the end of this interview.